Turned out to be a really great year here at Huffines. We have a lot of things to be celebrating about, and I'm really excited to share some of those things with you. I'm really glad you could be here tonight. We had them dressed down a little bit this time and just be a little more casual. I like to think of this more as a celebration. It's the end of the year. We don't have to get all stuffy and dressed up every time we have a performance. A couple quick things before we get started. Phones and devices my kids know are supposed to have up. While I'm not going to walk around and tell you to put your phones away and stuff like that, I do ask that you have it on silent. If you have a camera that has one of those digital shutter sounds or a beep, it'd be great if you know how to scroll through the menu and find out how to turn that beep off. The strings are pretty quiet instruments, so we want to make sure there's no disruption to that sound. Children, make sure the children are seated with you if you have viewings, and take them out if they're being noisy. If you need to leave, try and do it between pieces unless it's an emergency. This is not a rock concert, although we will be playing a lot of rock and pop music tonight. Loud applause is welcome, but generally we try not to scream and yell things. Okay, so the last thing, you're going to hear some familiar music tonight, and we had a situation with a symphonic group played the other day for an assembly, and one of the pieces they're playing has a lot of well-known music in it. One thing I'm going to ask is that as much as you might feel driven to sing and clap along, in general, all you're going to end up doing is drowning out the orchestra. So it's not that we're not wanting you to have fun, it's not to be a bummer, but just try and control that urge and start doing like this and kind of stop for a second, realize that you're not going to be able to hear them, and I want you to hear all the stuff they've worked on. And the last thing is the students are expected to stay for the whole concert. They've been told this for a while now. Hopefully they pass that on to you. And we're going to help clean up afterwards, and then there'll be a reception that we'll talk about here a little bit. The first group up tonight, we have the beginner group over here. Violin, viola, cello, and bass, where everybody's playing an independent part. We took them to Sandy Lake Festival to play one of the pieces you're going to hear tonight, and they came back with judges' ratings of straight ones, which means they got a 1 from every single judge, and a 1 is considered a superior rating. That's the highest rating you can get. Common piece called the First Scale March, and I went into the computer and decided instead of taking it in the normal, easy beginner key that you normally hear it played in, which is D major, I changed it around a little bit and put it in G major, which is a little bit different set of notes for them, and it actually what we call modulates into another key of C major, which requires them to do a little bit different technique with their fingers, so it's kind of pushing them a little bit more than the original piece was. So you're going to hear a change right in the middle of the piece there. And the second one they're going to play is called Bach Country Fiddles, which is the one that got them a 1 at Sandy Lake, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. On Bach Country Fiddles, we actually had auditions for what we call the first violin, which in this piece happens to be a much more difficult part. So this group of violins here on the outer edge, the group that came in and auditioned, and we had a few that we put on second violin that didn't quite make it first. We had a great turnout for that, had a really good experience, and the people who didn't make first violin stepped up and played the second violin part really well. Couple quick switches here. We can grab a couple of instruments. All right, how about another instrumental unit group? While they're getting settled,